Well, good evening and welcome to another episode of Creating the New Earth Together. Tonight I'm here with my guest Brigitte Antelme from France, a shaman, a seer, and a very wise elder. And she's asked me not to give her too much of a build-up, but so I won't. Say good evening, MaBee. Oh, I just need to say that Brigitte is known as MaBee, so don't get confused by that, please. So, how are you, MaBee?
Hello, Jack, and thank you for inviting me on your restream. I think that's what you call it.
Yeah.
And just to engage with you in exploring how, in this very troubled time on planet Earth, we can just start exploring how maybe the cosmos and those beautiful light bodies in the universe are working, inviting us, and informing us. So that's what I want to invite you today to explore. And that's the request of Jack, because he listened on Wednesdays to the elders' wisdom. And following the elders' wisdom, he was inspired as I spoke of the full moon in Virgo. And yes, it's a long, long time I have not practiced doing birth charts and all that, but I feel what I've been doing lately is just a live transmission of the energies. And that speaks better with who I am. So thank you, Jack, for inviting me on your show.
I'm honored to have you. Now, I will just say, not giving you too much of a build-up, but I will just say that there's a very old saying, and I'm sorry, I can't remember who said it. Maybe you'll know, MaBee. And I may not have the words exactly right, but something along the lines of it takes as much effort to understand great thought as it takes to conceive it. On that note, I've put the link to the Elders Wisdom show below in the description.
Yeah, I did see.
And it really needs, well, I'm not saying really needs, but to get a deeper understanding of what we're talking about today, you may also want to watch that show.
Okay.
So just saying that to everybody.
Yes.
So
No, I
what do you
don't
want
see it. I was going to invite people, but I don't see anyone right now who hasn't joined. I don't see anyone, but that's okay. I will still go on, yes, inviting whoever is there, if not live, just inviting. So you're inspired just a little bit. Oh,
Can I
hello,
can I
Julie.
can I ask you, MaBee, because I have the same problem that Juliet has with my eyes. Can I
Yeah.
delegate to you reading out the comments? Is that possible?
Yes, that is fine. Hello, Julie. That's my lovely Julie from America. Thank you for honoring us both. And yeah, Ina, oh, hello, you're listening. Well, I hope you will follow. I'm going to do my very best to make it as, yes. Jack mentioned recently, when two or more of you are gathered in my name, then I am with you. And that was Jesus speaking. And I think it's like the divine manifest through us. And Heidi, oh, you can do with a bit of inspiration. Well, I'm going to give it my very, very best because I was up very early, and yesterday I had a very deep channeled healing with someone, and it was an energetic healing. So I'm still doing a huge amount of processing. Hello, beautiful Amy. Thank you for connecting from America. And I accepted to be on Jack's restream because Jack has been following the elders' wisdom like many others, and he's been asking me for quite a long time. And I've been dragging my feet in the ground because it does take some doing just to do this live. a transmission. So tonight I would like to invite you to look as to this full moon. Okay, yesterday I had that very profound healing just as we were starting to step into the full moon. The full moon is always a moment when this body of light is shining brightly. And it's a time when we're being asked to shed something. We are ending a cycle. A new moon is we're planting a new seed. But the full moon, the waters of life are very powerful. It is like a pool on the oceanic waters, and it's a pull on our own waters too. So if you remember, a newborn child is almost 80 to 85% of water. As we get older, we have less water, and the elderly tend not to drink so much because they find it quite difficult to move and to go to the bathroom. However, we're still made of a lot of water. So the moon, the body, this light body is very important. So right now, this beautiful moon is in the sign of Virgo. So for those of you who don't know about astrology, I'm just going to delve in a little bit of what the energy of Virgo is about. Virgo is the Virgin Mary. It's the one who knows how to say no and how to say yes. So no, hands down, she's setting her boundaries, but she's saying yes as well. I am the servant of the Lord when the angel Gabriel comes and invites her to carry Emmanuel, the one who is going to bring good tidings to humanity. And we're at that place right now. So I'm inviting each one of you with that Virgo energy, with that planet, the full moon in the 6th house on the birth chart of today, with the full moon right now. And Virgo is the voice, is the language of the body. How can we feel and experience being in touch in a felt way with our bodies? How we react, how we receive, how we witness what's happening in our bodies, with what's going on planetarily. And with that full moon in Virgo, it's saying, can you please be mindful of the food you're putting in your body? How much time are you spending in nature? Because moon in Virgo is an earth sign. So it's inviting us to ground, to stay very much in touch with Mother Nature, slowing down, being quiet, being in the breath, setting our boundaries, and maybe being solitary, because Virgo knows how to say, no, these are my boundaries. And that's what this full moon in Virgo is inviting us. Virgo is related with the moon is related to the mother as well. Why? Because it's the waters of the mother. And it's the soul as well, the individual soul. So in the 6th house, there are 12 signs on a birth chart. In Virgo, it's really saying, can you tune into your soul? And can you just embody just a little bit more so the soul can come into this sacred vessel? And often that's almost impossible for most of us individually, because we have still got what is called frozen parts, frozen trauma. And therefore we'd rather not be embodying, because it means we have to feel. But if I may invite you just to go to Master Thich Nhat Hanh, who passed away in February. He has the most beautiful small exercises, invitations, which have been handed down for thousands of years through the masters who went before him, through Vietnam and through China. And it's like the breathing exercises. I breathe in. I am aware I'm breathing in. I'm breathing out. I'm aware I'm breathing out. I breathe in. With my mind, I follow my breath. I breathe out with my mindful focus. I follow the out breath. And the third exercise is I'm breathing in. I feel the joy of following my breath and going in. And I breathe out. I'm following my breath. And I feel the joy as I give that breath out to the world. So that's an invitation as we're going with the energy of this full moon in Virgo. Let's just go with some of these beautiful, simple exercises which Master Thich Nhat Hanh teaches, although he's no longer here, but he's here. And he's going to teach that in more, because there is no birth and there is no death. So from the Virgo, can I invite you, Jack, just to share the chart, please, if you've got it. Otherwise, it means I've got to open my screen, and I haven't got it open right now.
I've got it. You sent it to me, and I've got it.
So thank you, Lynn. What are you finding interesting, Lynn? And I will love, we still not use some inspiration. Yes. Okay. So, oh, wonderful. So now, both Jack and I, we've disappeared, but we haven't disappeared. Okay.
No, we're still here.
Yeah, Jack is here. And Jack, please, you can ask question, because right now we are engaging in co-creating. So I'm just going to take just the word create. For me, creating is manifesting in a moving. Every so often we touch what is called a place, moment by moment, when we're absolutely aligned and we feel, it's just like the in-breath and the out-breath just join hands. And there's a moment of sublime grace. And it's like we are with the beloved in that embrace. And suddenly we have to move again. The in-breath has to move after the pause, and we go into the out-breath. It's just like the heartbeat. The heart pumps the blood, sends it into the whole circuit, back into the spleen, back into the everything, the liver, gallbladder, everything starts moving. So we can never stay absolutely still, because we are in a perpetual movement. The wind moves, the leaves moves, the tree moves, the earth breatheth, the heartbeat of the earth beats, the solar energy shares its flame, shares its light, the cloud rains, becomes water, the water feeds the tree, and the tree feeds the earth. The worms, the ants, nurtures the seeds. So I just wanted to invite you to remember that we are at one with the cosmos. And as we stay inviting the cosmos and inviting what is happening within ourselves. We're going to go into that in a minute, because this is not my birth chart. This is the planetary birth chart for this full moon, for this event. So thank you, Jack. We can go back to the collaboration with Jack, as I'm going to invite you, Heidi, Julie, Ina, Emmy, and Lynn to explore what is going on with the cosmos right now and how you can collaborate and participate in making this an absolutely magic moment. Because what's going to happen with this constellation of planets I'm going to be expressing right now has only happened 150, 160 years ago, which is 3 planets coming together in the most sublime of signs, which is going to be Pisces. So, as those of you who don't understand what the birth chart is, this is an event chart. So right to the right, you're going to see like a moon crescent, okay? And you're going to see a sign, that's the sign of Virgo. And this full moon is solitary, it's on its own. So it's like we are on our own, each one of us, in our own sovereignty, reclaiming a relationship with ourselves. How am I with my body? How do I nurture myself? How do I feed myself? How do I hydrate? And how do I resource myself? This is Moon in Virgo. And the ruler of Virgo for this chart for today is Mercury. And it's right to the left-hand side in the sign of Pisces. So you can see to the left, just above the horizon, you can see AC maybe. AC is the ascendant. Today, the ascendant is Taurus. What are the values that we want to bring to the co-creation, manifesting this new earth? What are our values? And we really need to think this very wisely. Why? Because we create with our thoughts, with our words, with our feelings, with how we walk, with how we listen to the song of the blackbird or the robin, how we are with someone. Do we smile? Do we expand or do we contract because we are wounded or we're feeling unsafe? Or we may be feeling a little bit of fear and suddenly we contract. So if we do, let's just invite a breath in that place where we're just contracting. So what I'm showing you is there is a birth chart with 12 signs, 12 segments, which make 360. Thank you, Jack. So you have 360. You can't see my finger, but it's okay. So the moon is on the right-hand side in the sphere, which is a sphere of health, our body, and the community. It's a sphere where we engage with our community. And right now it's in Virgo, Earth. So I'm inviting each one of you and whoever will listen to this to really listen to this full moon. She's inviting you. The energies of that moon is inviting you to connect with your physical body, to embody in a totally new way. She's inviting you to connect in a felt sense. So as you engage with your body, connect maybe with the wind touching your cheek, or a flower, or a bee on a flower, or the song of the blackbird, or the sun that's just coming from behind a cloud. And connect with a cloud and be thankful for that cloud because it's going to hold the water And that water is going to nurture the land. And when you plant your seeds will grow thanks to that cloud, which now is water, which now is earth, which now is nurturing that seed, which is going to grow your food, which will then be eaten by you, and which will then become you. And the moon is going to shine its light as you're engaging in this process. So you're going to see that moon is connected with different lines. Some are blue and some are red. Now in astrology, nothing is good or bad. Everything holds an energy, a life energy. Some life energy is a little bit more creating a point of tension, as if you're going to pull an elastic, right? An elastic band, and then you're just going to release it, and it's going to send an information. So that's the red lines. So if you can see the moon, opposite the moon, you're going to see the most amazing 4 planets. So I'm going to start with the one who is closer. It's like a circle with a little crown and a little cross underneath. Her name is Mercury. Mercury is going to teach you and me, how do we communicate? How do I relate with life? And Mercury in the mythology is the winged god. Why? Because he goes between us human, men and women and children, and he's very fast. So when we have a thought, when we have an idea, we have to write it down very quickly. Otherwise it just disappears. It's Mercury. It's in the alchemy. It just, if you break a thermometer which contains mercury, you can't catch it with your hands. It's extremely difficult. So it's that speed, and it's like silver. It's called the quicksilver as well. But it journeys, it travels between our mind, our thoughts, our visions, our ideas, and it takes them into the galaxy, into the gods, into the divine realm, into the universal laws. Then it comes back and it gives us a little bit more information. But we have to embody those. Because if we're full of ideas and don't take the time to put them on a piece of paper, or to paint them, or to draw them, or to sing them, or to dance them, or to celebrate them, then they will just become volatile, like a puff of air, until the next time when we can just catch them like a dream. Remember, when you have a dream, don't move. Catch the dream like in a net, like a butterfly. Catch it, and as you've caught it, put on the light and write it down. Then paint it, or draw it, or share it with a loved one, if that loved one is agreeable to you sharing it. So that's Mercury. And why have I started with Mercury? Because he's the one ruling your moon right now in the heavens. This is where it's happening. And it's in the sign of Pisces, the sign of the Christ, the mystic, the Redemptor, the Savior. We were under the sign of Pisces for 2,000 years. We left the sign of Pisces only a few years ago. And now we're moving in the sign of Aquarius. However, what's beautiful, we're reminded right now. Remember what Pisces is about. Pisces is the collective waters. It's the Christ energies. It's the energies of the Savior, is the energies of fluidity, of the collective waters. And what's happening now, as we embody our own soul, we can start seeing what's going on with the collective trauma in the 12th house, the last house of this astrological sign. It's the house of Pisces. And we're nearly there. We're nearly full circle. There's some Pisces, but there's a bit of Aries. It's like we're going to start the new cycle as we move into April. And the energy of life is going to start again with the seeds of life. The birds are going to nest. And life is going to be saying, I'm back here. I'm being reborn. Come with me. Come with me. Whatever is happening, even if the snow is still covering the ground, even if chaos is still happening, I'm going to invite you on the 21st of March. We're going to move into the renewal of the life force coming through the tree trunk. The leaves are going to shine again in their tender greens, and then the blossoms. So that's an invitation. But right now, we're still having Mercury in Pisces, highly sensitive. So sensitive, it's inviting us just to be maybe just a little bit pulled back. Not share too much of your ideas. Maybe paint them. Maybe write as you're inspired. And then maybe you will share them later on in the year. Do something with them. I know that you, Julie, you are now in the, you mentioned you were going on a course. It wasn't yoga, it was Qigong, which is very close to the Tai Chi, which I practiced a long time ago. Hello, Karen. Hello from Ireland. Hello, beautiful Karen. Thank you for joining us. So I'm sorry you missed the beginning. You will have to re-listen. So let's go back to Mercury and the importance of this beautiful Mercury in Pisces, which is so sensitive that it's close to feeling. It feels the collective pain. It feels the collective trauma. It feels what's going on, not just with Ukraine and Russia, who is being excluded, who is being rejected, who is being pointed with a finger. No, it's showing what's going on with Africa in famine. It's showing Syria. It's showing America. It's showing every country. And it's showing what we hold individually with our own trauma. Yes, with our own individual trauma. And wherever we are on planet Earth, we can align through our thoughts, and then I will talk later on about the other 3 planets, through our feelings, through our actions or not actions. We can tune in to, oh, how does that resonate with my own process, within my own lineage? Maybe I lost a baby, maybe I lost a wife, maybe I lost a father, maybe I lost a mother. There isn't one of us here who is not being touched by what is happening. However, we are being invited not to take sides. Pisces, Christ, Jesus, Joshua was inviting. He broke the bread when there was no more food. He broke the bread and it became bread. He divided the bread. And during the wedding, there was no more wine at the end of the wedding. And the bridegroom came and whispered in his ear, Master, we no longer have wine. And he said, bring me a jar of water. And he made the most beautiful, sublime wine. And that's the energy of Pisces at its highest level. It's the mystic. He surrenders to the divine plan. And we're being invited to surrender to what we don't understand. We're not meant to understand. It's beautiful Thomas Jubel who says in his prayer, for what information I'm given to understand today, I'm grateful, for it informs my body at every level, mental, physical, emotional, spiritual, soul. But for what remains hidden, I am grateful too, for that is thy will, beloved one, that is thy will. So I'm inviting each one of us on this restream with Jack, for what remains hidden, let us believe and let us hold faith that there is a divine purpose and that the planets are here guiding us. And how can each one of you share through your embodiment process, through your felt sense within your lineage, what you are born to carry as you are co-creating the new earth? I'm inviting each one of you to invite your ancestors to hand their skills, their talents, what they went through. I invite my ancestors who were on the battlefield, those who lost their lives, those who I never knew, my great uncles, my great uncles, and those who worked for the France so it would be free. I'm inviting each one of you, wherever you're on planet Earth, because through each one of you, you are a spark of that divine manifesting, embodying. And that spark is being the alliance of light. They know the work you're doing, each one of you. And they bow down in reverence to each one of you for the amazing work you're doing, each one of you. So don't underestimate. You are being invited right now with this full moon in Virgo. Get into your body, feel, and be thankful. Be thankful. I bow down and I'm saying yes. This is the yes of the Mary, the Virgin Mary. Yes, at the highest level. And she's saying yes to herself too. I am the servant of the Lord. I am sovereign. I reclaim my sovereignty. And I reclaim that I am going to carry that spark of the divine. That's what it means. I'm embodying it. That means I am ready to serve. In Virgo, Virgo serves. She serves the highest good of all life through Mercury, through communicating. Each one of you, you have something to gift to this planet Earth. Ina, I know what you're doing when you walk in the secret places. Heidi too. Julie, I know the work you're doing. Karen, I don't know you, but I will meet you. Sometimes we're meeting through here. And Jack, through the power of this man who is here on this call today, and my inner guidance, who is masculine, who I'm welcoming right now through me. So through Mercury, can we go back to the chart before I fall apart, please, Jack? When I do transmission, I tend to go so deep that I tend to fall apart. So for those of you who don't know me, I go very deep as I channel and do those transmissions. And sometimes I just fall apart and I let the tears go because I always sit by the well of life. And I need you to know I sit by the well of this life and what's going on with Russia, Ukraine, Syria, Africa, France, the enslavement programs, the colonialization. I hold so many pieces, the children, the abuse to children, the pedophiles, and all those psychopaths, who hold so much trauma. So I'm bringing compassion on this call. So Mercury, so that's that, the gifts. So now we're going to go with beautiful ruler of Pisces. So you can see those two little crescents on the left-hand side. And you can see that line, that red line between the moon crescent and those three planets. It's like a point of tension. We don't really want to see that, but we are being forced to see it. We're being asked by the universe to see what's going on. Underneath the iceberg, what has taken place for thousands of years that has been pushed under the waters. What has been pushed under the waters? Collective trauma from everyone, including Mother Earth, Divine Gaia. We've betrayed us. We've betrayed her beyond betrayal, and we betrayed us through our own bodies. You know? So I'm going to invite with Neptune. Neptune is the mystic at the highest level. Is the one who channels, is the redemptor, is the savior. And we had this amazing avatar, whose name was Joshua, who came through Mary, and who had Mary Magdalene, John the Baptist. We invoke right now John the Baptist because it has to do with the waters of Pisces, and he was the one who baptized Joshua. And then he was beheaded. Yes, and the beheading has to do with don't go with the mind, don't go with the brain, stay in the power of the heart, the waters of the heart. Pisces is the collective waters, but it's guiding us to the waters of the heart. Can we hold compassion? Can we just stay in compassion and ground that compassion? So Heidi, words of guidance, soul to soul, the possibility of all of us being the light and showing that we all are walking in love on our Mother Earth, the Earth. Yes, very much so, Heidi, with the moon in Virgo, very much. And the moon is the soul, but it is the voice. It's your voice as well. Through you embodying, you can voice who you are as Heidi, the soul incarnate. Okay, incarnate. And the verb was made flesh, and it lived amongst us, the divine Sophia. So let's go back to Neptune. Thank you, Heidi. I receive. So Neptune is being held like in a sacred vessel. This will not happen for another 150 years. In the sign of Pisces, this is very unique. So it's a major invitation for the planet. And Neptune, which is the redemptor, it's a time, the conjunction, those planets are so close, they're embracing each other. And by mid-April, Neptune and the Sun and Jupiter will be absolutely entwined at the moment when we will be celebrating the renewal of the spring, renewal of life and freedom. I'll talk about freedom in a moment. So before I go into the embrace, I would like to show the shadow side of Neptune is the illusion, the deception, the drugs, the addictions, the feeling overwhelmed. And we feel overwhelmed if we go with the pictures. Neptune as well is the cinema. It's Hollywood. It's that side where everything is underneath the iceberg. The waters of the depth where it's very dark. But if I remember a transmission I had a long time ago, I went into very, very deep meditation. And I met with a giant octopus in the darkest of darkest places. and that giant octopus became a light with the most sublime, radiant light. And it turned, and his eye, his most beautiful blue, iridescent eye, giant eye, looked into my eye. And we met. And it's like there was a consciousness that went beyond the dark, beyond anything. And we were one. And that is what Neptune at the highest level inviting us. Can we surrender to being one with a collective soul of the universe, the galaxy? We belong to this planet Earth. First, we belong to this body. But do we belong to this body? That's a question I'm putting out. It's my little, my guide is having a little laugh right now. So it's just teasing. So the redemption with that beautiful, beautiful Neptune. So I'll go back to the embrace. Why? Because I want to take all of you, to invite you to play as Jupiter with the justice is the one who holds so much faith. It's the greatest body in the cosmos, and he expands everything he touches. And what is he touching? Jupiter. He's touching Neptune. He's touching Mercury, and he's touching the sun. And yes, there is the opposition with the moon, but that's what we're being asked to look at. So those four planets are absolutely touching each other. They're saying, hi. They're knocking on each other's door and saying, can we get in touch with each other? And Neptune was just the waters of collective unconscious, the suffering of humanity. It's coming right to the surface of the water. And who is shining its light? The sun. Those two little circles you can see. The light of the sun. And we're having so much light right now as we're going through the photon belt. When you go through that as a cosmos every 12,600 years. So we are getting such an influx of that life force coming through us. But at the same time, we're getting the solar flares. And what they're doing is asking us to clear what's been left in the shadows. That's the solar flares. Not comfortable at all. It may bring painful things through our bodies, which have not been resolved through our lineages. And we think, what's going on with my body? I didn't know I had that. So let's just be kind to ourselves as we just invite, like Master Thich Nhat Hanh or anyone else, or Thomas Hubel, or Julia Yelverton with trauma healing, or my trauma healing, is just invite a breath and just see where is it that I feel the pain of what's going on. And can I move away from the deception and the lies that can be misused through Neptune, the deceiver, through media, right? And suddenly Neptune is expanding the waters. Well, that means we may see a lot of waters on the planet. You know, we have seen so many floods. Some of them are because there is another plan. Those waters are just going into different places underneath, maybe to release something else. But there is the waters of life as well, where we're just going to be. I was thinking as I was attuning to Neptune today, and this beautiful energy of the Redemptor, but there is the energy of the victim, how we've been hooked into that triangle, that infernal triangle of we've been looking outside for the Savior, the Redemptor, and we've been keeping those parts of ourselves as victims. And how much energy it takes for us to hold those parts of ourselves as victim. And they are longing to be released. They are longing just to come to the light. And this is when the sun is saying, come and play with me. And Jupiter is bubbly. And he's saying, oh, yes, let's go under the waterfall. Let's have a look. And suddenly we can hear the song of the dolphin and the song of the whale. I was going to invite Jack, to add the song of the whale and the song of the dolphin, but I didn't even have enough time to go and research because I had a session yesterday, and Wednesday I was doing a restream. So, but it's okay if you can just tune in to the song of the whales and connect with the dolphins as they leap for joy. And you will get a sense of the energy of Jupiter, who is co-creating, who holds the faith, who plays with the bubbles at the end of his nose, who just plays with the ball and sends it to the next dolphin. And you can hear the laughter of children as they play in the waters. And the parents who are feeling happy because the children are happy. And the sun is shining stronger. It's inviting you to go. It's inviting the adults to go into the waters. And suddenly they see the reeds, and they see the sea urchins, and they see the most beautiful of fishes dancing, inviting them. And whatever animal is coming to you, they are coming towards you because they too are part of this ascension. They too are working with us for this evolution as we co-create this unity. Neptune is inviting us to unify, not to divide, not to conquer, not to steal, not to betray for the riches of a few. No, it is inviting us to share these oceanic waters. They can feed each other. They can feed the fishes. There's the crab. There's the lobster. There's the seahorse. And they all creating such a beautiful field of harmony. And they're singing, not just for this planet Earth, they're singing to the cosmos. And the cosmos is singing to the galaxy. And as they sing to the galaxy, they are reminding each one of us that we are being called by the Alliance to become at one with other life forms within this galaxy. But in order to do that, we have to move away from divide to conquer. We have to move away and unify. And the cosmos is inviting us to do that. So right now, the gifts of these constellations all together is inviting each one of you here on this call, and for those who will be listening again, if you have the gift of clairsentience, use it. The gift of clairaudience, use it. Clairvision, use it. Paint, dance your joy, dance your faith, paint your faith, move on the earth, lie on the earth. Listen to the songs, listen to the wind, feel the energy of the wind. As a shaman, I invite you, merge with the elements, feel them as they come through you. Feel what they have to share with you. That transformation. They invite you into the alchemy of who you are. You are a fractal of the universe. You're a divine spark of the divine embodying. And you are that in movement. I am that I am. It's an ongoing movement. There is no birth, there is no death, because I am that I am. When the wind breathes through my breath, I am that prana. And when I breathe out, that prana carries a little bit of MaBee back to the morphogenetic field that surrounds me. If I'm contracted, I am going to contract the field around me. If I am offering softness, just a little bit of softening, like a mother would cradle a child or would sing a song to a child. Can I do that with that part of me that feels right now that the field is so contracted? Let me breathe in and say, oh, I see you. I feel your pain. And where is in me? Where is that in me? Let me offer a little bit of softening around that. If I can soften around that, I will soften, and on that contraction will just, that tension point will just soften. And I will be held. Instead of feeling Neptune energy, I'm being overwhelmed because this tidal wave of 100 meters, like that tsunami wave that went years ago in Thailand and over Bangladesh, I'm just going to go on the top of the mountain. And from the top of the mountain, I'm going to start breathing from that solitary place. In the eye of the storm, I'm going to hold my alignment with the gifts that are mine. Each one of you, you're here on this planet Earth because your soul has its divine purpose. Each one of us here, and each one of those who will listen to this restream, we are here for a divine purpose. That we know it or not, doesn't matter. It is happening. If you can collaborate, it will be amplified 1,000-fold, 100,000-fold, 1,000,000,000,000,000, because you will be, your intention will be to collaborate, which is what I'm doing right now with each one of you. And if you contract, that's okay. At the moment, I feel fear. Oh, I'm inviting. Yeah, let's witness. Let's be present. And let me breathe and calm my nervous system. Like after a storm, let me bring the calmness. The storm and the chaos is there for a reason. Pluto is the energy of chaos. It breaks the form, the old form, because it no longer holds meaning, truth. It no longer resonates with where we need to go. So Pluto's energy in Capricorn, in the structures, governments, legislations, who may have been deviated from staying aligned, serving life, serving the people, serving the beings of light. We are beings of light. We're angels. We're incarnate. We're guardians of this planet. But we have deviated. We've wanted to explore that. And now we're being at the point of collapsing that. So Pluto, if you look at the chart, can you bring the chart back, please? Jack, thank you. Are you there?
I'm here. It takes a second. Hang on. There you go.
Sorry, you were somewhere else. It's okay. I'm sorry. Hope I didn't enjoy you. I hope I didn't enjoy you.
No, haven't put me to sleep yet. I'm really enjoying it.
Okay. So I don't know if joy is the word, but if joy is the word, then I welcome that word. So if we look at the moon and we look at the blue line on the right-hand side, we can see there is a trine. A trine is 120 degrees, and it's nearly a perfect trine. So the moon is absolutely getting support from Pluto breaking down what needs to be broken down. And Pluto is sharing that information that everything is according to plan and I am doing my work planetarily, bringing chaos, yes, in Capricorn, in all the structures, in all the governments, in all the systems, even in the schools, in the universities, in the earth, below the earth, how we've betrayed the skeleton of the earth, the alignment. The skeleton is the alignment. And then on that skeleton, everything comes, the flesh, the blood, the organs, the heartbeat, the lungs to breathe. The same as Mother Earth is the skeleton of Mother Earth, and then all her organs. And Pluto is telling us, all of us, and is telling the cosmos, I'm in absolute alignment, and I'm offering my support to break down what no longer serves life. At every level, Capricorn, Earth, it's a slow process. Pluto is a transpersonal planet, so it's impacting the whole of the cosmos and sending the information into the galaxy that it is doing the work its energies are holding. And the energies of Pluto, which is the ruler of Scorpio, 8th house, which is the initiating humanity into reclaiming how can you be aligned in being guardians of Mother Earth, Pachamama, and walking with her in perfect reverence, alignment, and honoring. That's what Pluto is inviting. And it's sharing that information now with the Sun, Neptune, Jupiter, and Mercury. So those planets are being told the work is in progress. It's all being done, right? Sextile, 60 degrees, beautiful harmony. And Mercury, the ruler of Virgo, is sharing that information with who? Jupiter, Mercury are going to expand that information, that the work of taking down what no longer serves humanity and the cosmos is going to share it in the first house, below the ascendant, as the full moon rose today in the heavens. The first sign that the full moon met was the sign of Taurus, the beautiful bull cow, Isis in Egypt mythology, Isis and Osiris, the myth of the cycles of the moon. And the bull has to do with, it holds the full moon in its horn. So it's connecting to the universe with the horns. So it's transmitting information. So Mercury, remember Mercury, Hermes, the god who communicates, is transmitting, is sharing, informing us through Uranus in the first house. Uranus, we're moving in the age of Aquarius. Uranus is the ruler of Aquarius. In the sign of Taurus, feet on the earth. Bull is very slow. It's an earth sign. It's very stubborn. It's very slow to move and shift. But Uranus is there, and that's the voice of the people. So as the old is breaking down, suddenly Uranus in the first house in Taurus is saying, as I'm co-creating this with each one of you and Jack, what are my values? I have a vision, the vision of the new earth. But what are my values in Taurus? Do I really value Mother Earth? Taurus, ruled by Venus. How am I in my relationships to the earth, to myself, and to the universe? Venus, Aphrodite, born of the waters, born through Uranus, who was misusing his power these visions. I don't have much time left. So
as much time as you need, MaBee.
Yeah, I know. We are moving into the time. So Uranus was castrated by his son Saturn. And right now we're seeing in the heavens two energies who are both doing the work that they're born to do. Saturn in Aquarius, which is the old control, the boundaries, which we've been suffering for the last 2.5 years. But at least we see it now. We see the control, power over the people, enslavement programs, misuse of Saturn, whose energy is about grounding, structuring, holding, Father, the true authority. The Father born through the earth, taking the child and lifting the child and saying, receive my child to the universe, like the old tribes used to do. And that's why the tribes have been attacked. And Uranus then was castrated by Saturn at the request of Gaia, his mother, because Uranus is never happy with what he creates. That's the dark side of Aquarius. It's always asking for perfection. Perfection doesn't belong. It's just in another dimension. We have to stay in our humanity. So Saturn castrated Uranus. There's a myth about that. I haven't got time to go into that. And one of the testes fell into the waters as Saturn flew and to escape the wrath of Uranus. And one fell in the waters, and that was the birth of Aphrodite, the principle of relationship, Venus. And the other one fell on the earth. And that's the Furies. So when we betray Earth, we have the Furies. And right now, with Uranus in Taurus, we're going to see the Furies rising, the anger of the people, but the anger of Mother Earth, volcanic eruptions. We're going to see that. So we're being asked to be mindful. How am I when the anger comes up through my body? Can I just walk the earth? Can I ask Venus to come, the feminine principle, that beautiful energy? Can I ask Venus to come and just bring balance in a felt sense through me? And that is through the power of the heart, that cup of the Sacred Heart. So I'm inviting you, as we in the moon in Virgo, we are observing what is happening. I'm inviting you to play, to explore your gifts, to have fun, to go underneath, just enjoy this time. Dance, paint, write, have a new project, make it into form. This is the time to create. Manifest something new, even if it is small. Don't make it small. Don't bring it into small. Even if it is microscopic in your eyes, don't go with Uranus. Stay with that. If you're knitting a scarf, if you're knitting a hat, if you're just watching an ant going into a hole, you are creating something new because you're observing. And by observing, you are informing that ant that you are with her in absolute presence. And by witnessing, you're changing something. As that ant is going into that hole, she is going to inform the whole family underneath, already growing the mycelium to feed the new babies, the new eggs. She is going to inform that she didn't get crushed underfoot. She was being witnessed in full presence by this being of light who was delighting in being with her. So I'm inviting you to collaborate as you're witnessing what's going on the macrocosm. I'm inviting you to go into the microcosm in presence within yourself, so you can change something infinitely, and then you send that information back through the microcosm into the macrocosm, and the planets will pick it up and send you another information, because we have those planets inside our bodies. This moon in Virgo is in you. Jupiter, faith, justice, expansion, you have it in you. You can expand. You have Venus in you, that capacity to relate to life. You have Mars. I haven't spoken about Mars, I don't have time. The energy and the journey of the hero, Mars. We are being asked right now to be both the hero, not on the battlefield, as we were pushed to do. And that's what's being pushed right now with Ukraine and Russia. There is two different energies happening right now, the old and the new. So we can push the new by staying aligned. And if we do our own hero's journey, which is going within, then we can get that inner masculine to back up our own inner feminine. And for the man to have his outer masculine to go within the inner feminine, and to invite the inner feminine to soften so it doesn't go on the war path, because this is a deception. Mars is the voice of the people now squaring Uranus, and the people's voice needs to be heard, and people are going to march. And this is what we've been witnessing. But they need to march, and they need to ask the question, because the lunar node, which I haven't got time to speak about, is in the first house. What is our identity? As a collective, moving into the age of Aquarius, we're going to need to think, what is our identity? Who are we? And I'm inviting you to choose. Let's invite unity on a soul level. And what do I want to bring? What are my values? In Taurus, Taurus tends to want to hoard because it has an innate insecurity from the time it's on this planet Earth. It's the second house. So it's the house of, what are my values? Do I have a roof on my head? And how do I make a living? So right now with Uranus in Taurus, Uranus is going to break down the bull the old way, that the bull was just having more and more and more. And how we're going to be invited to share of the plenty that we have with the universe, with other people, solidarity. So, and one last thing, Chiron, the wounded healer, is in Aries in the 12th house. So our greatest wound has to do with a collective trauma. And we're being invited to look at that. Just to hold presence. So I'm inviting you, how can each one of you can hold presence as the waters of life now are going on the earth, Neptune in Pisces. And this is the time of meditation. This is a time of prayer. This is a time when you're going to be revealed. Your gifts, your talents, everything is opening. There's such an expansion of consciousness. Neptune collective consciousness. Through Virgo, individual consciousness. You're being invited to expand, like the waters. When the waters leave the riverbed, because they're swelling, it's beautiful to watch. When you witness those waters, they clean, they purify. Yes, there is wounds that are there through humanity, through the body, and what's been happening around some of what we have all witnessed through what I cannot name. So there is going to be some trauma through our physicalness. But if we hold our frequencies beautifully high, which is that solar energy, and my God, when those waters are going to flood, we're not going to be flushed with them. We're going to be playing like children without boots, bare feet. We're going to be dancing in those waters. And that's what Mercury, Jupiter, Neptune, and the Sun is inviting each one of us to do.
Thank you, MaBee. That was so moving. It was so very moving. Let's just see whether that's going to work. Yeah, okay. Just to say that you can catch MaBee any Wednesday at 5 o'clock on the Elders Wisdom Show. I've put a link below to the last Wednesday's one, and I put all the links every week up on my social media. It's a brilliant show. It'll blow you away. While we've still got you on, MaBee, do you want to say just a little bit about the Source Center?
No, I don't. I don't for the moment, because I would like to engage with the people, those beautiful people who chose to be here. I want to acknowledge each one of you, including you, Jack, for being during this transmission. It does require a lot of focus. I don't usually do it for a group like that. I do it individually as a gift, a donation. But I don't do written birth charts anymore, because I take the birth chart onto a totally different level now. So this was an event chart. However, I wanted to weave it within what is going on planetarily and what has been going on with what we're going to be witnessing with with Neptune is some of the trauma, the suffering. Neptune has to do with suffering as well. And if you remember in the age of Pisces, which was an amazing age, where astrology, cosmology was part of the medicine. It was part of all the studies. Everybody was allowed to study, and then they excluded it. They made it into something terrible. So today, I just wanted to open a doorway into not so much astrology, but the invitation of Virgo. How can I be true to myself? How can I be saying yes? And when do I need to say no with my boundaries? No to watching maybe images that stir me up, because within the 3D, there might be some lies, there might be some deception, there might be illusions. And because we have in our humanity, we're in our humanity, we feel it. But how hope I've guided you to go in that place where Jupiter is asking you. Jupiter is bringing justice. I want you to know that. It's going to be tremendous amount of court cases. The planets are there. It's all in place. But we have to do the work. We will not be rescued. We have to do the waking up. It's a wake-up call. And that wake-up call, I'm repeating it now. I'm inviting you. What are the values you wish to bring and manifest? As what is your intention? And how can you collaborate so we can shift what's happening and not go back to the divide to conquer, but to freedom. Let's free that softening, which I invited you to do. Softening. Let's be playful. And let's remember the water. We hold 70% of water in our bodies. And the water is the cloud. And before being the cloud, it was evaporation, and it can be snow. And children love playing balls, snowballs, and making snowmen. Remember the playfulness. So I'm going to leave you with a note of playfulness. And I don't know if you're all there still, so I want to honor you, Karen, Heidi, Ina, Julie, and whoever else will be watching this. I want to honor each one of you for the amazing field of work you're each doing at this time. Because, as I said, you are part of that Plutonian energy that's breaking down the old. Where is it that I need to say no? I will not give my yes to this because it doesn't feel aligned with me. That's what I'm inviting you to do. And where is it that I need to be solitary? Or where is it that I need to go and dance? And where is it that I need just to go and paint or to do a transmission? So thank you, Jack, for having invited me.
Thank you for agreeing to come on. It was very special tonight. Thank you.
And thank you to each one of you. Yeah. So thank you, Jack. And I had the Soul Center. I didn't want to cut the ground under your feet. The Soul Center has been a place I was asked to create, and I've been a guardian to this place. It's a place where the animals are safe. They don't get killed. They don't get hunted. I sit with them. I learn from them. They learn from me, but I learn more from them. And it's a place when anybody comes. I used to run group work here, shamanic retreats, and other group work I was teaching what I've been teaching tonight. And then everything fell apart. So I bought this place 33 years ago. It was a ruin. And I had the vision, and I held that vision. And I manifested that vision, and I worked really hard to make this place. And now I've handed it over. I've spoken to the elementals of this land, and they know I've handed it over. So if I'm meant to keep doing workshops, I will. And if I'm meant to do something else, like moving on to a different level of transmission, then someone else will take over this place. Because I've held it on my own for a long, long time. And right now, if I'm going to give you my age, I am over 60. I'm one of the elders. And there's so much an elder is asked to do. And now I've been asked to do something else. I've been asked to serve at a different level. So I have to heed my guide and my guidance. But I'm there for all of you. So thank you, Karen. Yes, and I see you too. And I trust we will meet. And thank you, Jack, for inviting Karen. I did post the link, but because I posted it 3 days ago, because I'm an elder, I need a bit of time ahead, and I've been working full on.
I think that applies to both of us, MaBee.
Yeah, but I'm a young elder because I'm eternally young. So I don't go with age. I just, my inner child is vibrant and my elder is vibrant. So I'm inviting you to bring your vibrancy. Thank you, Heidi. So Julie, I'll be with you with Julia, your mother. I'm still there guiding that transition. And to each one of you, so remember, don't get overwhelmed. Don't go deep in the waters of Neptune. unless you're surrounded with Jupiter, Sun, Mercury, okay? And remember the moon, sustain your body, which means the power to say yes and the power to say no. And I see that Jack has just put his subscribe, which is lovely. So there we are. Don't forget to subscribe for Jack's co-creating the new earth, and we'll see where this goes.
Thank you. Yeah. And just to add before we go, Heidi, who was on tonight, is my special guest next Friday.
Right.
I'm afraid your voice is out of sync, MaBee. I can see your lips move. I can't hear what you're saying. Yeah, Heidi's my special guest next week. She is a freedom poet, so don't miss that one. And thank you, MaBee. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Namaste.
Namaste.
Yes, and please go onto YouTube and get some of Master Thich Nhat Hanh basic 8 exercise of the breath. At this time, you need to resource yourselves. Yeah.